Well, hi there, I'm Noah Bradley. This is Handmade House TV, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about how to build a driveway. So stay tuned. Well, all right, today I thought I'd share with you some tips on how to build a driveway into your land. If you're out looking for a property, a rural wooded site, or perhaps a field, or a place that has no driveway to it, then eventually you're going to need to get a driveway. And in fact, it's one of the very first things I do whenever I buy a property to build my own home on. Even if I'm not planning on building the home in the near future, I like to get access to that property. It's a key ingredient. Even if you were to say buy the property and 5 years later you decide you want to sell the property, a good driveway that enters into the property will do miracles for the value of that particular property. People can get into it. In fact, I think that the majority of land that I have bought in my lifetime, I have gotten it for a good deal because it has not had a driveway. It's amazing the number of people that will do a drive-by on a parcel of land but will not actually get out and walk it, will actually weed their way through the overgrowth and explore the property and figure out how a driveway can get into their property. And that typically that land tends to set more on the market and without a driveway. So and by having a driveway, you're allowed to, when you purchase property by having a driveway, you're allowed to gain access to it. You're not parking out on the street. You're allowed to drive into the property. You have a place to park. You can see the house site that's cleared, and you can explore it. You can start bringing in materials. You can build yourself a few outbuildings, and also it's not a bad idea to have a driveway age in place a bit as it's there, so that it's not too. It typically takes a few years before the driveways look like they belong there, that grass or trees have grown back up and it doesn't look like it's a fresh destruction to your particular property. So some of the tips that I could offer you with building a driveway is that first of all, you have to figure out the starting point from the road. And that's often dictated by your Department of Transportation. Actually, you need to get most areas, you need to get a permit where your driveway enters onto the road. And typically what they're looking for, they will comply as much as possible in getting a driveway into your parcel. But what they're really looking for is that you have a safe access. You have good visibility when you come out of your driveway, looking both ways, and also so that people that are on the roads and driving, they can see you pulling out onto the road. So they will help you dictate where you want it. So you figure out where you would ideally like it, and then they will tell you whether or not they will allow you to. Typically, you have to put some kind of down payment or a bond toward the finished driveway, where they will come do an inspection to make sure that the driveway complies to their specifications. Frequently, the only specification they have, they will give you the width of the driveway that they want it to be. And also, typically they'll want a culvert pipe put underneath the driveway out at the road, so to make sure that no water can back out onto the road. So it's a fairly simple, fairly friendly process, and there's no issue with that. So you got one end of where the driveway goes, and then you go figure out where it is your house site is. I won't get into choosing a house site or the best considerations of that, but it's basically a nice level spot, or as level as can be, that you can park your cars, build your septic tank, septic system, put your well in, and also that will take the greatest advantages of the views and privacy that your particular parcel might offer. And then so then you have a starting point and an ending point, and then it's a question of frequently of walking the road. If you just allow this up to the individual who is going to create your driveway, quite often you end up with a highway, a straight stretch from the road to the house site, rather than following the contour of the land and also weaving between the trees that you would like to keep. You want to keep as many nice trees as you possibly can, and quite often between following the irregular terrain of your land and the trees, you end up with a nice road with gentle curves to it, which adds much greater beauty to your property. It tends to slow down speeding drivers, particularly delivery drivers that might be seeing you in the future. It cuts down on the bright lights shining into your home as a car approaches. Just overall, I think what it does is that it provides you with a much more attractive, natural type driveway. Now, typically when I hire an individual to do my driveway, for the most part I've used the same two guys over and over again. I found someone that does a good job, and I know they did a good job because I went and looked at a bunch of driveways and found the ones that I was appreciative of, and those are the individuals that I wanted to do it. If you find a driveway that looks like an interstate highway, don't use that guy. If you find one that is heavily eroded, you're seeing erosion in the driveway and in the ditches, chances are that's not an individual you want to use either. And typically I ask for some kind of estimate for the road. A lot of people will ask for a firm bid. If you ask for a firm bid, you're going to get the cheapest one with no quality features whatsoever. And there's a lot of difference between an excavator who's doing his best job in order to give you a wonderful driveway, and one who is motivated by, I got to finish this up as quick as possible and get out of here in order to make the most amount of money I can and lose as little as I can in some cases. So I typically hire them on an hourly basis. And I tend to be around a lot because decisions need to be made frequently when you're putting in a driveway about where something goes and where it doesn't go. So again, starting with the starting point of the driveway and the finished part of the driveway, I walk it. And I mean, I walk in and out 30 or 50 times. I mean, just a lot of times. And typically what I'll do is I'll buy two different colors of surveyor tape. You can get it on Amazon. It's a cheap plastic tape. And I will give I'll devote one color exclusively to marking the center of the road where I want it to go through. And then I will use another color to make sure and wrap around the trees that I do not want harmed. And frequently this route will change up and down, in and out, where more and more, if I find out if I go this way, I'm going to be affecting these trees. Whereas if I change it and lose that one tree here, then that can save a whole bunch of trees later on in the road. And I will stand back after I get this trail in. I'll go back out and stand at the main road and look in and see my tags as they go and see if that's an attractive, makes sense way to put the road in. And likewise at the building site, I'll do the same thing looking back. Now, typically when I'm going ahead with the trouble of putting in a driveway into my property, I'll also clear out my excavation, my building site, and all the parking area, where my future parking area, and where I'll be parking cars as I build, where I'll be putting down the material as I build. Frequently, I'll go ahead and have the same excavator clear off the septic drain field area of trees. And that's so that the ground has a chance to recover from it before the septic system goes back into place. There's some settling going in place. And this is one of the reasons why you want to put a driveway in as well. Typically, when you're putting in a driveway, you're going to count on the driveway being used and abused throughout the construction process. When heavy rigs come in, dump trucks loaded with stuff, well drilling equipment coming in, all kinds of delivery loads come in. If it's coming in on a real rainy day, frequently your driveway gets rutted out. All of this heavy compression of all these heavy equipments do visual damage to your driveway. But what they're doing is they're compacting it back. They're making it strong so that in the future you won't have an issue. So as you're building your home, you're going to count on needing to do a little bit of restoration work to the driveway on a couple of different occasions. And then once the home is finished, you have your same excavator come in and do a finish coat of gravel on it and smooth everything else and make it pretty. And then you're going to have a relatively maintenance-free driveway the rest of the time you're there. Now, a couple other things, and that is that along my driveway, I had such a long driveway recently on my lake property that I found there was a more or less a level spot that was about halfway down the driveway, and I chose to have that cleared at the same time. It made an excellent burn area, and that is that when you're blazing through the woods, you have an option, and that is that you can either pile up all the trash that's associated with the construction of a driveway, and then you have an eyesore that'll be around pretty much for the rest of your life. And also it does create a fire damage, that it's a huge burning pile, burnable pile that is only drying out and becoming more flammable as time goes by. Or you can create a flat level area where the refuge of the trees, particularly all the tree tops, all the branches and stuff, that as the road is being constructed, it's regularly a fire goes on place that burns up the wastage from it, and very likely you will want to keep the trees, the wood from that is taken down in the creation of your driveway. You want to use it for either firewood in the future, or if you've got large enough trees, you could use it to build your home, or or saw it up for lumber, one or the other. Of course, there's a third option, and that is that you could haul all of this material away to a landfill. But I think in the end, if your motivation in doing that is to perhaps help the environment a little bit and not be burning the trees off, I think that by the time you pay for the fuel, and plus the trees are going to decompose anyway and release carbon into the atmosphere. It's not uncommon here on the East Coast. The West Coast gets a lot of attention for forest fires, but we get our share here on the East Coast as well. And they burn thousands, if not tens of thousands of acres when they get loose and burning it. And so burning a tenth of an acre of trees on your own property, it's a necessary thing, and I think it's a good thing. It's a way to do it. And I can say also that the ash that's left over from burning it creates much more fertile soil for you to have on your end. It's top notch. So I think that about covers everything that I can say about a driveway being put in, and how to do it, and all the considerations of what to do with the material. I hope that you have purchased your piece of land. If not, get out and look for it. The old saying is so true. They're not making many more of it, and they're certainly not making any more quality of land. That the quality of land in my area for the first time in my life has been dropping in the last 10 years. You just can't get privacy and beauty as easily as what you once could have here in Central Virginia. It's still available, but the days of it becoming on the market and being affordable for the typical middle class guys is drawing to an end. So get out and get that land of yours soon, and get a driveway in it when you get finished. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me here on Handmade House TV. Look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, bye now.